What's good, y'all? Welcome back to a brand new discussion. This time we're talking about the latest issue of The Amazing Spider-Man. Man, what an issue it was indeed, man. A lot of great stuff happened this issue, mostly around the end of it, with the return of Sin Eater. Yes, the return of Sin Eater, a character that was around back in, I believe, the 80s from Spectacular Spider-Man. What was it called? Like Spectacular Spider-Man, I think it was called, which was written by Peter David in the arc The Murder of Jean DeWolf. Issue 37 was the issue in particular. Phantasm that came out last week. Last week. So what I'm just gonna be doing here, guys, I mentioned if you guys saw my reaction to it, you guys know that I got pretty excited from what we saw in that issue, man. I was really getting excited, because legit, guys, I haven't been this excited about Nick Spencer's Spider-Man run since probably Hunted, legit, because between Hunted and this, there's been a lot of, downtime, filler maybe, because before this with the 2099 stuff, which was pretty good, I enjoyed the 2099 stuff, but before that you also had the stuff with the Sinister Syndicate, which was good, but nothing really major, and it's been a lot of downtime with this comic where I've been enjoying it, but not as much as I was when we first started, like I mentioned before, with the Hunted arc. You guys know I was really excited for that arc, and was super, super excited for those issues as they were going out. Now, so with this video, I'm pretty much want to discuss the Sin Eater and with his return and what it could mean for the future of the comic, and what do I think of some of my theories and speculation of what Nick Spencer plan might be ended up doing with this character, with the Sin Eater return, what he might end up doing. Now, one thing I want to get out of the way, even though I'm super excited for this arc, and when we get to Kindred, we're going to talk about Sin Eater in a second, but there's gotta say, I gotta say this right now, you're both getting some PTSD right here, getting some PTSD flashbacks to Civil War 2, because in the 2099 stuff, we got introduced to this new device that one of Peter's classmates has created that could pretty much predict the future, but not via the multiverse, it goes through the multiverse, and it can predict what certain things happen. Now, it's not 100% certainty, as they mentioned in the comic, it's only about 90%, which is better than what happened with Ulysses. And they even mentioned this stuff about Ulysses in there, and I'm just like, oh, for God, please, Nick Spencer, get rid of this device. But don't give Marvel any deaths, because they're going to probably take this device and build a Civil War 3 around it. They're probably going to do it, and they'll probably find a way to bury Carol Danvers even more than she already is. If you don't think that's possible, if WWE can get worse than this, if WWE can get worse as it keeps going on, then I'm sure Marvel can find a way to fuck her over even more so. So, yeah. So that's legit giving me some PTSD flashbacks, but with all that being said, man, I'm hyped, even though I'm a little nervous about that. Hopefully nothing comes of it, or at least nothing that will affect the major Marvel universe, and it just sticks to just Spidey issue. We might see it here and there. I would actually like to see maybe something happen with this thing, and maybe Peter might end up using this thing, and he sees something with Kindred, and maybe with Gwen, with MJ. Even though the device is making me shit myself in fear, I'm also hyped to see. I'm also a little curious if Nick Spencer ends up planning using it for what has to Kindred. Now, let's get to Kindred and Sin Eater and all that other stuff. Let's just discuss on what I think is going to happen. Now, if you guys have... Also, guys, if I sound a little different today, by the way, your boy's a little under the weather. Got sick a couple days ago, and had a nasty cough and almost some allergies. Now it's pretty much just allergies. Still, it's more of a nuisance than anything else, but yeah. But the show must go on, so here I am. So if I sound different, that's why. Anyway, so, as I was mentioning with Kindred. Now, if you guys have been watching my comic reactions for TASM, you guys know that really since probably the end of Hunted, I have mentioned some stuff with that the Kindred arc, or at least when Kindred becomes the main focus and we get to the arc with him or she, because we'll get to what I think Kindred is in a second. I mentioned there's going to be some stuff about the Killing Joke, that we might get a very Killing Joke-esque arc from that with Kindred, and what's going to happen with that along with MJ and Aunt May. We'll get to that in a second. But Kindred, if you guys have been watching my comic reactions, I probably said more recently, probably since the Absolute Carnage tie-ins, which I actually thought were pretty good. The one that my story was very Bleach-esque. In the last one where Peter rises up and defeats Carnage, felt, or I guess Norman, because that wasn't actually Carnage, it was Norman with the Carnage symbiote. I noticed that was like very Bleach-esque, man. The way he's like telling himself to get up. It reminded me a lot of when Ichigo went into the Vasto Lorde form against Okiura. That was such an epic fight, man. Anyway. So, but since probably then, I've mentioned that Kindred has to definitely be some, and also if you look at what Kindred means in the dictionary, if you learn about what Kindred actually, what Kindred's definition is, which I believe is like something that relates like blood ties. I have to pull it up to remember exactly what it said. But yeah, since I've mentioned that Peter, that could be someone, yeah, one's family or one's family and relation is what Kindred actually means. I've mentioned before that it has to be someone with Peter. Now, that is closely related to Peter. I mentioned that, I mentioned before, I think I threw it together like, oh, I think it might maybe be Uncle Ben, maybe, but one character, especially, I think probably, or I think I mentioned that before, but I think after those Absolute Carnage tie-ins, that's when I really knew that it was most likely, and I might have also saw something on Twitter as well, that might have also gave me this theory, and that's when I really started to believe it. I mentioned that it's most likely Gwen Stacy. That is Kindred. I mentioned before as Gwen, because if you look at the dialogue in those Absolute Carnage tie-ins with Kindred talking to Norman, the dialogue and how it's spoken would fit pretty well with everything that Gwen has been through, with, him killing her and everything, and then there's also stuff with, well, what the hell is that arc called? Sin Reborn, I think it was, where, Norman knocked her up with twins? Yeah, remember that? That was before I got into comics, but your boy knows that arc. I forget exactly what it was called, but, yeah, with that arc, man. So after that, I mentioned before that this most likely could be something that could be her. She could probably be Kindred and she's out for revenge. Because, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, this was back before I was into comics. I was pretty much just watching videos, keeping tabs on this, I remember a video from Professor Thornton where he talked about the clone conspiracy arc that happened during Dan Slott's run. It was like around the end of his run, where a bunch of characters got cloned, Ben Reilly, who was Scarlet Spider, got cloned. He became the what did he be? Who did he become? The Jackal, I think it was. I might be wrong on that. You guys will see in the text. I'll correct myself. Yeah. So he came back. He turned evil, but then if I remember correctly, he turned good again. And yeah. But I know Gwen also came back, and then the end like the arc off with like I think it was like her hair net or her hair band or whatever that thing's called, something where makes you think that Gwen could still be alive. Because like if we know something about comics, characters don't say damn. If we don't see the corpse, then they're alive. That's pretty much like an unwritten rule of comics. If we don't see the corpse, they're alive. And I believe that's what happened with Gwen. So Gwen could also probably have gotten mad too, and is out for revenge against Peter and against the ones he loves. And that's what I think is most likely going to happen with this Kindred arc once it finally becomes the mainstay. Now, let me get into the main thing I've mentioned before. If you guys have been watching my comic reactions for TASM, especially since the end of the Hunted arc, I have mentioned ad nauseum at this point that Nick Spencer is most likely setting up to the Killing Joke with Spider-Man with his Kindred stuff. Because judging from what we see of Kindred and from what we saw in that little flashback back in the Hunted arc where Peter saw those visions of MJ getting shot, I mentioned it since there that there is most likely going to be some Killing Joke type stuff, because it was very Killing Joke-esque. You remember before the Killing Joke, Barbara answered the door, she got shot, she got shot by Joker, and she landed on a table, glass broke everywhere, and of course, she went, and of course, the Joker was trying to prove that any man could go bad after just one bad day. We saw this with him trying to get Jim, and showed her a bunch of naked pictures of his daughter in that carnival ride. I think something very similar to that's going to happen. That may probably mix with some of Death of the Family from that one page we saw where Kindred's looking at all the different Spider people, Spider-Gwen, Miles, etc., etc., etc. We might also see some of Death of the Family in there too. But I'm mostly thinking that we're going to get some Killing Joke type stuff in here, because if there's two characters because we know of what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen with this Armor. Peter's probably going to have to make the ultimate choice because MJ and Peter are together. Now, One More Day happened. We all know what happened with One More Day. Marvel wanted Peter to go back to being Signal for whatever reason, and he made that deal with Mephisto. That deal still has not been retconned or unsigned or ripped off. that deal is still happening. And I think what Nick Spencer's planning on doing with Kindred is he's going to be like the final stop, the final step before that one more day arc is finally burned to shreds, and we finally just never and it's finally done. Peter and MJ are back together, and all is good. They'll probably get married again because Peter wants to propose to her. From what we saw before, MJ went off to LA, and that's where the Amazing MJ comic is taking place, which I've been loving it, by the way. And yeah, I think that's where it's most likely going to go. That's going to be final stop. Now, what I personally think is going to happen with the return of Sin Eater, which you guys that don't know who Sin Eater is, he was a character like I mentioned before from the symbiotes from Spectacular Spider-Man that is a serial killer that takes down corrupt individuals that do not meet his notions of morality, mixed with some religion in there. He's kind of like the Punisher if he was like a religious fanatic and was even more insane than Frank realistically already is, So what I think will happen is this. With Sin Eater's return, he's going to go after MJ or Aunt May. Now, when MJ finally comes back to New York. Now, what I think is going to happen now, because we know Aunt May has cancer. That happened, that was announced like the first issue of A Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Peter's going to have to make a choice, and he's going to have to sacrifice one of them. MJ or Aunt May. Now, what I think is going to happen is probably those visions that we saw at the end of the Hunt arc. I don't think that was just, let's just throw some visions in here and they mean nothing. I think that's going to come back later on, and I think that's actually going to be what ends up happening to MJ. She comes back, she opens the door. Sin Eater comes in there and she shoots her. Now, will it be with his trademark double-barrel shotgun? Probably not, because realistically, even at close range, a shot from a double-barrel shotgun will probably tear MJ in half, so he'll probably use a pistol. Or maybe MJ will get away far enough and to where the blast isn't like destroyed, but she still falls into a table and there's just still blood everywhere, because, at least to me anyway, and MJ's gonna be seriously injured, she's gonna be kidnapped, and Peter's going to be on the run for her, and then Aunt May's gonna get kidnapped, and then Kindred is going to reveal herself to be, yes, Peter, I am Gwen Stacy, your greatest failure has come back to collect, and and she's going to make Peter make this ultimate sacrifice to finally get rid of one more day. Do you sacrifice the love of your life? Which realistically, you guys know how much I love MJ, and one of the main reasons I love MJ so much is because of the emotional support she brings to Peter, and realistically, without her, Peter would have gone insane by this point, let's be real. And Peter might start going mad. He slowly starts to go insane until he has to make this ultimate choice. And Aunt May, just like in pretty much every other time where she has sacrificed herself, like she did in Spider-Man PS4, she says, and she probably, I don't know if MJ actually knows Peter Spidey in the comics. I know she did at one point. I think a little bit before Civil War started, the first one. I don't know if she still knows it to this day. I don't think she does. Correct me if I'm wrong. If any of you guys are major Spider-Man readers, tell me down below if she actually knows. I would love for it to where where Peter has to make the choice, and then Aunt May just tells him, Peter, it's okay. I'm okay. I'm okay with dying right now. I've lived a tremendous life. You can also throw some stuff with Uncle Ben in there. Maybe we even see his ghost. And, and she says, goodbye, my son, or something like that. And then, Peter's, of course, distraught by this, but MJ's right there to get her back up. And then eventually, some time passes, let Peter mourn. He's going to do a lot of mourning, because this is Aunt May we're talking about here. And then he's going to go after, and then he's going to finally propose to her. And, one more day will finally be rid of, and all of our Spider-Man fans are going to be throwing a goddamn motherfucking parade and be like, finally, it's over, We're going to be pissing, we're going to light one more day trades on fire, we're going to piss on the ashes, it's going to be a good time, boys. But yeah, guys, so, yeah, that's why I'm really excited for this arc, man, with Kindred. Now, I don't know if that's going to be what we're going to get next, or this is just more setup for what's going to happen later on. Either way, I am hyped, and I mentioned it before in my comic recs, I have not been this excited for TASM since Hunted, and I'm so glad to see that Nick Spencer and the run, because, you guys, I've been loving this comic, is finally back, and I can really start to get excited again, because I'm so excited for Hunted, and I was like, oh, man, it's been not as good as before, man, but now it's back to where it was with Kindred. It looks like Kindred's going to be back on being the main focus again. I'm hyped, man. I'm hyped to see what we have in store, man. I'm looking forward to what Nick Spencer has in store for us. If now, I could completely be wrong, and it's not going to be the Killing Joke, but I think, but I think with Sin Eater coming back, it makes it even more obvious that we're going to get something very similar to the Killing Joke. So tell me down below, guys, what you guys think of this. Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right? What are your theories about Kindred? Do you think it's Gwen Stacy? Do you not think it's Gwen Stacy? Do you think it might actually be Harry? Tell me all that down below, guys. I would love to have a discussion with all of you guys and know what you guys think of this, because it's definitely something I want to hear your guys' thoughts on. So yeah, hope y'all enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, flag links down in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time.